If marriage is a partnership, then I'm the unpaid intern who somehow got stuck with the worst boss in corporate America. My name is Dave Rourke, and I'm 39 years old, which means I'm old enough to know better but apparently too stupid to learn from my mistakes. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I work as a facilities manager at St. Mary's General Hospital, which is a fancy way of saying I fix broken toilets and make sure the air conditioning doesn't kill anyone. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps me busy enough to avoid thinking about how my life turned into a bad sitcom. My wife Erica is what you might call a local celebrity. She's got about 15,000 followers on Instagram, where she posts pictures of her breakfast and calls herself a lifestyle influencer. What she influences people to do, I'm not entirely sure, but apparently taking photos of avocado toast is a legitimate career path these days. "Dave, can you move? You're blocking my light," Erica said this morning, holding her phone above a plate of eggs Benedict that probably cost more than I make in a day. She was wearing full makeup at 7 in the morning because God forbid her followers see her looking like an actual human being. "Sorry, honey. Just trying to grab some coffee before work." I stepped aside and watched her take approximately 47 photos of the same plate from slightly different angles. You know, people actually eat food instead of just photographing it. She gave me that look. You know the one. The look that says I'm about as useful as a chocolate teapot and twice as messy. This is my job, Dave. Some of us are building brands while others are unclogging drains. Someone has to keep the world's toilets functioning, Erica. It's a noble calling. Our daughter Molly looked up from her cereal and rolled her eyes. At 17, she's already mastered the art of being embarrassed by both her parents simultaneously. Can you two not do this before I've had caffeine? Molly is the only good thing that came out of my marriage, and she's smart enough to see through her mother's Instagram persona. She's got my sarcasm and her mother's looks, which means she's going to be dangerous when she gets older. Your father doesn't understand the digital economy, Erica explained, still adjusting her phone angle. Influence is currency now. Right. And I'm sure the mortgage company will accept payment in likes and heart emojis. The truth is, Erica's career brings in maybe $500 a month on a good month, usually from promoting teeth whitening kits and weight loss teas that probably don't work. Meanwhile, I'm pulling down 60 grand a year keeping a hospital running, but somehow I'm the one who doesn't understand modern business. I grabbed my coffee and headed for the door, but not before noticing something that made my stomach drop. There was a hotel receipt on the counter, partially hidden under Erica's ring light. The Marriott downtown, last Tuesday, when Erica was supposed to be at her book club. I palmed the receipt and stuffed it in my pocket. Have a great day building your brand, honey. At work, I tried to focus on replacing a broken water heater in the pediatric wing, but my mind kept wandering back to that receipt. The Marriott wasn't cheap, and it wasn't the kind of place you went for book club meetings. "You look like someone pissed in your cornflakes," said Big Mike, my closest friend and the hospital's head plumber. Mike is 6'4" and built like a refrigerator, but he's got the emotional intelligence of a therapist and the loyalty of a golden retriever. "Just thinking about life choices," I said, wrestling with a stubborn pipe fitting. "That's your first mistake. Thinking never solved anything. You need beer and bad decisions." "I think I've had enough bad decisions for one lifetime." Mike studied my face for a moment. "This about Erica?" I pulled out the hotel receipt and showed it to him. Mike whistled low. "Tuesday night? Wasn't that when she had her thing?" "Book club. Apparently they're reading 50 Shades of Grey at the Marriott now." "Could be innocent," Mike said, but his tone suggested he didn't believe it any more than I did. "Yeah, and I could be the next bachelor. Let's see what else I can find." The rest of the day passed in a blur of routine maintenance and growing suspicion. I found myself paying attention to hospital gossip for the first time in years, and what I heard made my blood run cold. "Did you see Dr. Keller's new BMW?" one of the nurses was saying in the break room. Must be nice to have radiologist money. I heard he's been giving private consultations, another nurse giggled. Very private if you know what I mean. Dr. Brent Keller. 41 years old, divorced last year, drives a silver BMW, and has the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no. He's also been working late a lot lately according to the scheduling system I have access to as facilities manager. I pulled up the keycard logs on my computer. Every time someone swipes into the building after hours, it gets recorded. Doctor. Keller had been staying late every Tuesday for the past 2 months. The same Tuesdays, Erica had book club. My phone buzzed with a text from Erica. Working late tonight. Don't wait up. XOXO. It was Thursday. Book club was supposedly on Tuesdays. Either she was branching out into advanced literature or she was lying to my face. I drove home that evening with a plan forming in my mind. If Erica wanted to play games, I was going to change the rules. But first, I needed proof. Molly was in the kitchen when I got home making herself a sandwich. Mom's not here, she said without looking up. She said she had a meeting with some brand representatives. At 8 o'clock at night? That's what I said. Molly finally looked at me, and I could see the same suspicion in her eyes that was eating at my gut. Dad, can I ask you something? Shoot. Do you think Mom is happy? It was a loaded question, and we both knew it. What makes you ask that? She's been different lately, more secretive, and she's been getting texts at weird hours that make her smile in a way that's... Molly paused, searching for the right words. It's not the way she smiles at us. I sat down across from my daughter and really looked at her. When had she gotten so perceptive? When had she started noticing the cracks in our family foundation? I think your mom is going through something, I said carefully. People change sometimes. Are you guys getting divorced? The question hit me like a punch to the gut, partly because I hadn't let myself think it, and partly because it suddenly seemed inevitable. I don't know, kiddo. I honestly don't know. Molly nodded like she'd been expecting that answer. For what it's worth, if you do get divorced, I want to live with you. Mom's too busy taking pictures of her food to notice if I'm even here half the time. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. Whatever happens, we're going to be okay. You and me, we're a team. Good, she said, because I've got some things to show you about Mom's Instagram account that you might find interesting. Molly led me upstairs to her room, which looked like a computer store had exploded in a tornado of teenage chaos. She had 3 monitors set up on her desk and enough cables to power a small city. Okay, so I've been doing some digital archaeology, she said, settling into her gaming chair. Did you know Mom has a second Instagram account? A what now? It's called a Finsta, fake Instagram. It's where people post stuff they don't want everyone to see. Molly's fingers flew across the keyboard. Mom thinks she's being sneaky, but she used the same email address for both accounts. The screen filled with photos I'd never seen before. Erica at expensive restaurants, Erica in lingerie that I'd never seen her wear, Erica making faces at the camera that were definitely not meant for her usual audience of suburban moms and MLM Huns. There's more, Molly said, clicking through to the comments. Look at who's been liking everything. Brent Keller _MD. Every single photo, liked within minutes of being posted. Jesus, I muttered. It gets worse. Molly opened another tab. I may have accidentally gained access to Mom's text messages. Molly, that's illegal? Probably, but also educational. She turned the monitor toward me. You might want to sit down for this. The text thread between Erica and Brent was like reading a bad romance novel written by someone with a medical fetish. I won't repeat the details, but let's just say they were very creative with hospital terminology. How long has this been going on? I asked, scrolling through weeks of messages. Based on the timestamps, about 3 months. Right around the time Mom started her book club. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. 3 months of lies. 3 months of coming home to a wife who was texting another man while sitting across the dinner table from me. There's one more thing, Molly said quietly. I found some photos on Mom's cloud storage that she probably doesn't know got backed up automatically. I held up a hand. I don't need to see those. They're not what you think. Well, not entirely. They're from last weekend when Mom said she was visiting Grandma Joan. The photos showed Erica and Brent at a beach house somewhere, definitely not at her mother's apartment in the city. Brent had his arm around my wife while she held up a glass of champagne and smiled like she didn't have a care in the world. I'm sorry, Dad, Molly said. I know this sucks. I stared at the screen for a long moment, feeling 17 years of marriage crumble around me like a house of cards in a hurricane. Then something else started building in its place. Something harder and colder than heartbreak. Don't be sorry, I said finally. Be ready to help me do something about it. The next morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. Erica was at her yoga class, or at least that's where she said she was going. These days, I wasn't taking anything at face value. I drove to the hospital anyway, and found Big Mike in the basement, wrestling with a temperamental boiler. Thought you were sick, he said, looking up from his wrench. Sick of being lied to. I need a favor, Mike. I showed him the photos and text messages. Mike's face went through several expressions before settling on barely controlled rage. That bastard, he said. And in our hospital, too. That's just disrespectful. I need to know more about Dr. Keller, who he hangs out with, what his schedule looks like, where he goes for lunch. Everything. You planning something stupid? I'm planning something smart. There's a difference. Mike grinned, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. Well, in that case, you came to the right guy. I know every pipe, wire, and air duct in this building, and I know which ones run right past Dr. Keller's office. We spent the morning doing reconnaissance. Mike introduced me to Janet, a nurse who worked in radiology and had apparently been dealing with Dr. Keller's wandering hands for months. He's a pig, she said bluntly, always making comments about the female staff, always finding excuses to brush up against people, and lately he's been bragging about his new girlfriend. Bragging how? Showing off pictures on his phone. Some blonde woman who looks like she spends more on makeup than I make in a month. He keeps saying she's married but available, like that makes him some kind of stud. I felt my jaw clench. Has he mentioned her name? Erica something? He calls her his Instagram goddess. The casual way she said my wife's name made my vision blur around the edges. This wasn't just an affair, it was a public humiliation that half the hospital apparently knew about. There's something else, Janet continued. Dr. Keller's been using the on-call rooms for his little meetings. Room 314 specifically. Always on Tuesday nights. Tuesday, book club night. How do you know all this? Janet smiled grimly. Honey, I've been a nurse for 20 years. We see everything, hear everything, and remember everything. The only reason, Doctor? Keller still has a job is because he's good at reading x-rays, and the administration doesn't want to deal with the paperwork. I thanked Janet and found Mike waiting for me in the hallway, holding a maintenance tablet and looking thoughtful. I've been thinking about your problem, he said, and I might have a solution that doesn't involve you going to prison. I'm listening. What if Dr. Keller's BMW developed some mechanical problems? Nothing dangerous, just embarrassing. Like, say, the horn got stuck during the morning shift change when everyone's walking to their cars. That's petty. Petty is my specialty. But if you want to go bigger, I've got ideas for that too. We spent the rest of the day planning. By the time I got home, I had a comprehensive strategy for making Dr. Brent Keller's life very uncomfortable, very publicly. Erica was in the kitchen when I walked in, stirring something that smelled expensive and looked like it belonged in a magazine. How was work? She asked without looking up. Educational. How was yoga? Great. Really worked up a sweat. She turned to smile at me, and for a moment I could almost pretend everything was normal. I'm making that pasta dish you like. The one from your Instagram? Exactly. I thought we could have a nice dinner together. Just the two of us. Molly was at her boyfriend's house. which meant Erica had planned this. A romantic dinner with her husband while she was carrying on with another man. The sheer audacity of it was almost impressive. "That sounds perfect," I said. "Just like old times." We sat down to dinner and made small talk about nothing important. Erica told me about her yoga instructor's new meditation techniques. I told her about a broken elevator that took all day to fix. Normal married couple conversation, except everything felt like a performance. "Dave," Erica said as we were finishing up, "I need to ask you something." Here it comes, I thought. The confession, the tearful admission, the request for forgiveness. "I need some closure with my past," she said instead. "What kind of closure?" "There's someone I used to know. Someone important to me. I've been thinking about him a lot lately, and I think I need to see him one more time to put those feelings to rest." I stared at my wife across the dinner table, amazed by her ability to lie with such sincerity. She was asking for permission to continue her affair while framing it as emotional healing. "Who is this person?" I asked. "Just someone from my past. It doesn't matter who. What matters is that I think it would help our marriage if I could get some closure." "And how exactly would you get this closure?" "Maybe dinner, maybe a conversation. Nothing serious, just a chance to say goodbye properly." I set down my fork and looked directly into her eyes. "Erica, if you think you need closure with someone else, then by all means, go get it." She blinked, clearly surprised by my easy agreement. "Really? You're okay with that?" "Absolutely. In fact, I insist. Closure is important in any relationship." "Thank you for understanding," she said, reaching across to squeeze my hand. "I knew you'd be mature about this." "Oh, I'm very mature. When did you want to have this closure dinner?" "Tomorrow night?" "If that's not too soon." "Tomorrow night is perfect. In fact, why don't I drop you off? I'd hate for you to have to worry about parking or anything like that." Erica's smile faltered slightly. "That's sweet, but I can drive myself." "I insist. What kind of husband would I be if I didn't support my wife's emotional journey?" After dinner, I called Big Mike. "It's happening tomorrow night," I told him. "Operation Closure is a go." "You sure about this, Dave? Once we start down this road, there's no going back." I thought about the photos on Molly's computer, the text messages, the casual way Dr. Keller had been showing off pictures of my wife to his co-workers. "I'm sure. Erica wants closure. I'm going to give her more closure than she can handle." I spent Friday morning at work, but my mind was entirely focused on the evening ahead. Mike had assembled what he called our support crew, a collection of hospital staff who had various grievances against Dr. Keller and were more than happy to help with our little project. "Janet's got the key card logs," Mike reported during our lunch break. "Lucas is handling the tech side." Lucas was Molly's boyfriend, an 18-year-old computer genius who could hack into anything with a power cord. More importantly, he was absolutely devoted to Molly and had taken the news about her mother's affair as a personal insult. "What about the car situation?" "Handled. Tommy from security owes me a favor, and he's working the parking garage tonight. Dr. Keller's BMW is going to have a very bad evening." I felt a grim satisfaction settling over me. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about justice. It was about making sure that actions had consequences, even for people who thought they were untouchable. At 5 o'clock, I drove home to find Erica getting ready for her closure dinner. She'd chosen a black dress that I'd never seen before, along with jewelry that definitely wasn't from our anniversary collection. "You look beautiful," I said, and meant it. Even knowing what I knew, even planning what I was planning, I could still see why I'd fallen in love with her 17 years ago. "Thank you. I want to look nice for this conversation." "I'm sure your friend will appreciate the effort." Molly appeared in the doorway, home from school and clearly aware that something was happening. "Where are you going, Mom?" "Just out for dinner with an old friend." "Your father's being very understanding about it." How understanding of him, Molly said dryly, catching my eye in the mirror. At 7 o'clock, I drove Erica to the Marriott downtown. She was nervous, fidgeting with her purse and checking her phone every few minutes. "You can just drop me off at the front," she said as we pulled into the parking garage. "Don't be silly. I'll walk you in. Make sure you get there safely." "Dave, that's really not necessary." "I insist. What kind of husband would I be if I didn't make sure my wife got to her closure dinner safely?" I parked the car and walked with Erica through the lobby. She kept glancing around nervously, probably looking for Doctor Keller and hoping he wouldn't see us together. "There's the restaurant," I said, pointing toward the hotel's upscale dining room. "Have a wonderful evening, honey. Take all the time you need for closure." I kissed her cheek and walked back toward the parking garage, but instead of getting in my car, I took the elevator up to the 3rd floor. Mike was waiting for me in the hallway, dressed in maintenance coveralls and carrying a toolbox. "She's here," I texted him. So is he. Room 314, just like clockwork. We walked down the hallway to the room directly across from 314. Mike pulled out a key card. Apparently Tommy's favors extended beyond the hospital parking garage, and let us into an empty room. "Now we wait," Mike said, setting up a small camera at the window. "Lucas is monitoring the hotel's security system. As soon as they're both in the room, he's going to start recording." My phone buzzed with a text from Erica. "Having a great conversation. Don't wait up, might be late." Lying comes so easily to her, I muttered. "Some people are just built different," Mike said philosophically. "The important thing is making sure she faces the consequences." 20 minutes later, Lucas sent a message to our group chat. "Both targets in room 314. Recording active. Phase 2 is go." Phase 2 was simple but effective. Lucas had hacked into the hotel's Wi-Fi system and was broadcasting the audio from room 314 to a private channel that could be accessed by anyone with the right link. I sent the link to a carefully curated list of people: Janet and several other hospital staff members, some of Erica's Instagram followers who knew her personally, and a few of our neighbors who had always been a little too interested in other people's business. "This is either brilliant or insane," Mike said, monitoring the audio feed on his phone. "Why not both?" We didn't listen to the conversation ourselves. I had no desire to hear the intimate details of my wife's betrayal, but the reactions from our audience told us everything we needed to know. The group chat was exploding with shocked emojis and increasingly angry comments. At 10:30, my phone rang. It was Erica. "Dave, I need you to pick me up. How did the closure dinner go?" "It was complicated. Can you just come get me?" "I'm in the lobby." "Of course, honey. I'll be right there." I found Erica sitting in the hotel lobby looking disheveled and confused. Her carefully applied makeup was smudged, and she kept checking her phone with growing panic. "What's wrong?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Someone's been posting things about me online. Horrible things. I don't understand how they could know." "Know what?" She looked at me with something approaching desperation. "Dave, I need to tell you something. About tonight. About everything." "Let's talk about it at home," I said gently. "We've got all the time in the world for conversation." The drive home was silent, except for the occasional ping of notifications from Erica's phone. Word was spreading fast through our social circle, and the reaction was not sympathetic. When we pulled into our driveway, Erica finally spoke. "Dave, I've made some mistakes." "We all make mistakes, Erica. The question is what we do about them. I want to fix this. I want to make things right between us." I turned off the engine and looked at my wife. "Erica, do you remember what you said yesterday about needing closure?" "Yes." "Well, I've been thinking about that, and I realize I need some closure too." "What kind of closure?" I smiled at her, the same smile I'd been giving her for 17 years, the kind that comes with changing the locks. It took her a moment to process what I'd said. When she did, her face went white. "Dave, what are you talking about?" "I'm talking about closure, Erica." You wanted to close the door on your past, and I want to close the door on our marriage. Fair is fair. She tried the front door and found it wouldn't open. She tried her key, but it didn't fit anymore. That's because while we were having our little hotel adventure, Big Mike had been busy with his locksmith friend, changing every lock on the house. "You can't do this," Erica said, her voice rising to near hysteria. "This is my house too." Actually, it's not. The house is in my name only, remember? You insisted on that when we bought it because it was better for your credit score. Molly opened the front door from the inside. "Hi, Mom. Dad told me about your closure dinner. Sounds like it was really educational. Molly, tell your father he's being ridiculous. Actually, I think Dad's being pretty reasonable. Your stuff is at Grandma Jones' house. Dad had it delivered this afternoon." Erica turned to stare at me. "You planned this. You knew about Dr. Brent Keller, about your Tuesday night book club meetings, about your secret Instagram account?" "Yeah, I knew. The question is, what are you going to do about it now?" "I'll call the police." "And tell them what? That your husband locked you out of his own house after you committed adultery? I'm sure they'll be very sympathetic." Erica's phone started ringing. Then it rang again, and again. The online reaction to her hotel room conversation was spreading beyond our immediate circle, and people wanted answers. "This isn't over," she said finally. "You're right," I agreed. "It's just getting started. Closure is a process, Erica, and we're just getting to the good part." I walked into my house with my daughter and closed the door behind us, leaving my wife standing in the driveway with her phone ringing and her carefully constructed life falling apart around her. "Dad?" Molly said as we watched Erica through the front window. "Yeah?" "I'm proud of you." "Thanks, kiddo, but we're not done yet. Not by a long shot." Saturday morning brought a new wave of chaos. I woke up to 17 missed calls from Erica, 43 text messages ranging from apologetic to threatening, and a voicemail from her mother that could have stripped paint off a car. "David Rourke, you open that door right now and let my daughter in," Joan's voice screeched through the phone. "I don't care what she did. You can't just throw her out like garbage." Actually, I could, and I had. But Joan had always been Erica's biggest enabler, so her reaction wasn't surprising. Molly stumbled into the kitchen around 10, looking like she'd been hit by a truck. "Did you see Mom's Instagram?" "No." "Should I?" "She posted a long story about how you're having a mental breakdown, and she's the victim of domestic abuse. It's got about 300 comments already." I poured myself a cup of coffee and considered this development. Erica was trying to control the narrative, painting herself as the wronged party and me as an unstable husband. It was a smart move, if you ignored the fact that half the internet had heard her having her closure conversation with Dr. Keller the night before. What are people saying? It's split about 50-50. Half the comments are from people who believe her, and half are from people calling her out for cheating. Janet from your hospital posted some screenshots that are pretty damaging. My phone rang. Big Mike. "You need to get down here," he said without preamble. "Doctor, Keller is having what you might call a public meltdown." I drove to the hospital to find a crowd gathered in the parking garage around a silver BMW that looked like it had been attacked by a very angry mechanical bull. All 4 tires were flat, the windshield was covered in what appeared to be medical waste, and someone had used surgical tape to spell out "cheater" across the hood. Dr. Keller was standing next to his ruined car, screaming at Tommy the security guard, while a growing audience of hospital staff watched with barely concealed amusement. "This is vandalism!" Keller was shouting. "I want security footage! I want fingerprints. I want whoever did this arrested." "Sir, I understand you're upset," Tommy said calmly, "but the cameras in this section have been having technical difficulties all week." "Technical difficulties my ass. This is a coordinated attack." Janet appeared at my elbow. "He's been like this for 20 minutes. Apparently he got locked out of his hotel room last night and had to sleep in his car. Then he came to work this morning and found his BMW like this. Locked out of his hotel room? Someone hacked the electronic locks. Happened to about 6 rooms on the 3rd floor. Weird coincidence. I looked around for Lucas and spotted him near the elevator, trying very hard not to smile. The kid had been busy. Dr. Keller's tantrum was attracting more and more attention. Nurses, doctors, orderlies, and administrative staff were all finding excuses to walk through the parking garage. Someone was definitely recording video. "Dr. Keller," called a voice from the crowd. It was Dr. Callahan, the hospital CEO, and he did not look happy. "My office. Now." "But my car?" "Your car is the least of your problems. We need to discuss your conduct with the nursing staff and some recordings that have come to my attention." Keller's face went white. The audio from his hotel room hadn't just been broadcast to random people. Lucas had made sure it reached the hospital administration as well. As the crowd dispersed, Mike appeared beside me. "Phase 3 is complete. How do you feel?" "Like I'm just getting warmed up." That afternoon, Erica showed up at the hospital. I was replacing a broken light fixture in the emergency department when I heard shouting from the main lobby. "Where is he?" Erica's voice carried through the corridors like a fire alarm. "Where's my husband?" I made my way toward the lobby, collecting an audience as I went. Word of the morning's drama had spread through the hospital faster than a flu outbreak, and everyone wanted to see what would happen next. Erica was standing in the middle of the lobby, still wearing yesterday's dress, but looking like she'd slept in a parking lot. Her carefully maintained Instagram image was completely shattered. "Dave!" she screamed when she saw me. "What have you done?" "I gave you closure, just like you asked. You ruined my life." "I think you did that yourself." "I just made sure everyone could see it." A crowd was gathering. Patients, visitors, staff. Everyone was watching our marriage implode in real time. Erica seemed to realize this and tried to lower her voice. "We need to talk privately." "I think we're past private conversations, don't you? Besides, you seemed to enjoy having an audience last night." "That's not fair." "Fair?" I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. "You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I worked 60 hours a week to support your Instagram hobby while you were screwing another man in hotel rooms? Is it fair that half the hospital knew about your affair before I did? Is it fair that you asked for my permission to continue cheating on me and called it closure? I made a mistake." "No, Erica. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk on the way home. A mistake is double booking dinner plans. What you did was make a choice. Every Tuesday night for 3 months, you chose to lie to me and sleep with another man. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern." The lobby was silent except for the sound of Erica's breathing, which was getting more ragged by the second. "I want to come home," she said finally. "That's not your home anymore. Your home is wherever, Dr. Keller is living these days. Oh wait, that's right. He got fired this morning, didn't he?" Erica's face crumpled. "Brent won't return my calls." "Shocking. It's almost like he was only interested in you when it was exciting and forbidden. Who could have predicted that a man who cheats with married women might not be relationship material? Please, Dave. I'm sorry. I'll do anything to fix this." I looked at my wife, my ex-wife, really, though the paperwork hadn't been filed yet, and felt something that might have been pity if it wasn't mixed with so much anger. "Erica, there's nothing to fix. You burned this bridge so thoroughly that there aren't even ashes left. The only thing left to do is move on. I don't have anywhere to go. That's not my problem anymore." Security appeared then, probably summoned by Dr. Callahan, who didn't want his hospital lobby turned into a daytime talk show. They escorted Erica out while she continued to plead with me to reconsider. The crowd dispersed slowly, everyone talking in hushed, excited tones. I'd just provided enough gossip to fuel the hospital rumor mill for months. "That was brutal," Janet said, appearing at my side. "She earned it." "What happens now?" "Now I go home to my daughter and figure out what the rest of my life looks like." But I was wrong about that. The drama wasn't over. It was just getting started. Sunday evening, I was grilling burgers in my backyard when the doorbell rang. Molly went to answer it and came back looking troubled. "Dad, there are people here to see you." I walked around to the front of the house to find Casey, Erica's best friend, standing on my porch with two other women I recognized from Erica's social circle. They looked like a delegation of suburban warriors ready for battle. "Dave," Casey said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "we need to talk." "About what?" "About what you've done to Erica." This has gone too far. I looked at the three women and felt a familiar surge of anger. These were the same people who had probably known about Erica's affair and said nothing. Now they wanted to lecture me about going too far. Has it? Because, from where I'm standing, I've been pretty restrained. I could have done a lot worse. "You've destroyed her reputation," said one of the other women. Linda, I think her name was. "She can't show her face anywhere without people talking. Maybe she should have thought about that before she started having an affair." "Everyone makes mistakes," Casey said. "But what you're doing is cruel and vindictive. What I'm doing is making sure there are consequences for actions." Something Erica apparently never learned. "She's staying in her car, Dave. Her own mother won't let her in the house because you've turned everyone against her." "I haven't turned anyone against her. I just made sure people knew the truth. If she doesn't like how the truth makes her look, maybe she should have made better choices." "You're being unreasonable," Linda said. "Marriage is about forgiveness. Marriage is about trust and respect. And not screwing other people in hotel rooms while your husband is at home thinking you're at book club." "She ended it," Casey said. "The thing with Dr. Keller is over. She wants to work on your marriage." "The thing with Dr. Keller ended because he got fired and won't return her calls. That's not the same as choosing to end it." I was getting tired of this conversation. These women had come here expecting to shame me into taking Erica back, but they'd picked the wrong target. I wasn't the same man I'd been a week ago. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "You're going to leave my property. Erica is going to file for divorce because this marriage is over, and all of you are going to learn that actions have consequences." "Or what?" Casey challenged. "Or I start sharing some of the other interesting things I've discovered while doing research on my wife's secret life. Did you know she's been using our joint credit card to pay for hotel rooms? That's technically theft. Did you know she's been claiming business expenses on her taxes for personal trips? That's fraud. Did you know she's been telling people online that she's single to get more followers? That's just pathetic, but it's also documented." The three women exchanged glances. They hadn't expected me to fight back. "You wouldn't," Casey said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Try me. I've got nothing left to lose, and Erica has already taken everything she's going to take from me. Push me, and I'll push back harder." They left without another word, but I knew this wasn't over. Erica was desperate, and desperate people do stupid things. I was right. At 2 a.m, I woke up to the sound of breaking glass. Someone was trying to break into my house through the back door. I grabbed a baseball bat and crept downstairs, Molly right behind me despite my whispered instructions to stay in her room. The back door was standing open, and I could hear someone moving around in my kitchen. I flipped on the lights to find Erica standing in the middle of my kitchen, holding a knife from my own knife block. She looked terrible, hair unwashed, clothes wrinkled, eyes wild with exhaustion and desperation. "Erica, what the hell are you doing?" "I want my life back," she said, and her voice was eerily calm. "You took everything from me. My home, my reputation, my future. I want it back. Put the knife down. No, we're going to sit down and talk, and you're going to listen to me. You're going to understand that what you've done is worse than what I did." Molly stepped out from behind me. "Mom, you're scaring me." "I'm not your mom anymore, apparently. Your father has made sure of that. He's turned you against me just like he's turned everyone else against me." "Nobody turned me against you," Molly said quietly. You did that yourself when you chose to cheat on Dad and lie to both of us for months. I made a mistake. One mistake, and your father has destroyed my entire life. It wasn't one mistake, I said. It was dozens of mistakes over months. Every lie, every hotel room, every Tuesday night when you chose someone else over your family. Brent loved me. Brent used you. And when it got complicated, he threw you away like garbage. Just like you threw away our marriage. Erica raised the knife, and for a moment I thought she might actually try to stab me. Instead, she turned it toward herself. Maybe I should just end this, she said. Maybe that would make everyone happy. Mom, no! Molly stepped forward, her hands raised. Please don't do this. I moved slowly toward Erica, keeping my voice calm and steady. Erica, give me the knife. Whatever problems we have, this isn't the solution. There is no solution. You've made sure of that. I have nothing left. You have your daughter. You have your life. You can start over. With what? I can't get a job because everyone knows what I did. I can't go home because my mother is ashamed of me. I can't even post on Instagram because people just comment about what a whore I am. Then maybe it's time to try living in the real world instead of online. She looked at me with something approaching hatred. This is all your fault. If you had been a better husband, I never would have needed someone else. And there it was. Even at rock bottom, even holding a knife in my kitchen at 2 a.m, Erica couldn't take responsibility for her own choices. It was my fault for not being good enough. It was Brent's fault for abandoning her. It was everyone's fault except hers. You're right, I said, and she blinked in surprise. I wasn't a perfect husband. I worked too much. I didn't pay enough attention to your Instagram career. I didn't tell you how beautiful you were often enough. But you know what I never did? I never cheated on you. I never lied to you about where I was going or who I was with. I never betrayed the promises we made to each other. Dave, I'm not finished. You want to blame me for your affair? Fine. But don't blame me for the consequences. Don't blame me for people finding out the truth. Don't blame me for your boyfriend turning out to be exactly the kind of man who sleeps with married women. And don't you dare blame me for your daughter losing respect for you. Erica's hand was shaking now, the knife wavering in her grip. Put the knife down, Erica. This ends here. Tonight. No more drama, no more threats, no more trying to make your problems everyone else's fault. She looked at me, then at Molly, then at the knife in her hand. Finally, she set it down on the counter and collapsed into one of the kitchen chairs. I don't know what to do, she whispered. You figure it out, like an adult, like the rest of us have to do when we make bad choices. I called the police, not to have Erica arrested, but to have her removed from my property and to document the break-in. By the time they arrived, she was calm again, almost catatonic. Sir, do you want to press charges? The officer asked. I looked at Erica, sitting in the back of the police car looking like a broken doll, and felt something that might have been pity. No. Just make sure she gets somewhere safe and doesn't come back here. After the police left, Molly and I sat in the kitchen, both of us too wired to sleep. Is it over now? She asked. Yeah, kiddo. I think it is. What happens next? Next, we figure out what our life looks like without all the drama. We eat dinner without someone taking pictures of it. We watch movies without someone live tweeting the experience. We live like normal people. Sounds boring. Boring sounds pretty good right now. The next morning, I filed for divorce. Erica didn't contest it. Dr. Keller left town, apparently to take a position at a hospital in another state where his reputation hadn't preceded him. Casey and her friends found new drama to focus on. Life went back to normal, or as normal as it gets when you're starting over at 39. I kept fixing things at the hospital. Molly kept being the smartest, most sarcastic teenager in the city. And Erica, well, Erica eventually figured out how to live without an audience. 6 months later, I ran into her at the grocery store. She looked different, older maybe, but more real somehow. Less polished, more human. Dave, she said, and her voice was quiet, uncertain. Erica, how are you? Good. Really good. You? I'm learning. I got a job. At a doctor's office downtown. Just answering phones and filing, but it's honest work. That's good. I wanted to say, I'm sorry. For all of it. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I needed to say it. I looked at the woman I'd been married to for 17 years and felt nothing. No anger, no love, no regret. Just a kind of peaceful indifference. Thank you for saying that. Are you happy? Yeah, I am. Are you? She thought about it for a moment. I'm getting there. It turns out real life is harder than Instagram life, but it's also more honest. Honest is underrated. Yes, it is. We said goodbye politely, like acquaintances who'd run into each other by chance, which I suppose is what we were now. I drove home to find Molly in the kitchen, making dinner without taking a single photograph of it. She looked up when I walked in and smiled. How was your day, Dad? Perfect, I said, and meant it. Closure, it turns out, isn't something you get from other people. It's something you give yourself. And sometimes, the best closure is just walking away and building something better, 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 something better.